Susan and Jason Smith are busy at home with their two young daughters, Rowan and Campbell. They tragically lost their first daughter, Emerson Rose, but through their faith, they are finding peace.
Emerson Rose was our first daughter, and she was born with a very severe heart defect, and she was born in April of 2011. And we found out about her heart defect when I was still pregnant with her during a mid-pregnancy ultrasound. And she was born at MUSC, the Medical University of South Carolina, and had open heart surgery at 4 days old. And we were able to spend 2.5 months with her in the hospital, and she started smiling.
At 5 weeks old, she smiled for the first time, and it was basically she smiled pretty much every day after that. And she was just a true joy.
Emerson Rose lived for 2.5 months, and in that time, Susan and Jason, the staff at MUSC, and other families dealing with their own ill children became like a family. And because of this and the care they received, the Smiths were dedicated to helping others.
Our eyes were opened to needs, just from being down there, seeing these families in need, and then talking to her doctors and her surgeon just about the need to further what can be done for children born with heart defects, because we didn't realize it's the most common birth defect in the world. And so we realized there was the funding was not there, so we thought, all right, we can help families, and that's something we can do. And so we didn't know what we were going to do to try to help save children at the time. So we just started the Emerson Rose Heart Foundation 2 months after she had died. We started it up, and we started helping families.
Heart defects are the #1 birth defect among newborns and infants. It is vital that any of these issues are diagnosed early so proper treatment can be given. And through the Smiths' research, they learned about a machine that could help determine possible heart-related issues in newborns.
Once we started the Emerson Rose Heart Foundation, we wanted to give money towards research or quality improvement, and we came across an article on the internet about pulse ox screening in newborns. And so I called our local hospital, Oconee Memorial Hospital, and asked if they were screening babies. And they said no, but they would be very interested in doing that. So I wrote a grant, and it got funded, and that was our first step. We bought pulse ox equipment for Oconee Medical Hospital. And then we started reaching out to other hospitals, and slowly they began having interest in doing the screening, so we bought more equipment, and I think we ended up helping 17 hospitals and birthing centers in the state of South Carolina.
But they didn't stop there. They joined forces with Senator Thomas Alexander of Oconee County and the American Heart Association to make the pulse ox test required by law.
The Emerson Rose Act will require all birthing facilities and hospitals to perform the pulse ox test on newborns. They really do just put it on the finger and the toes, and what it does is measure the oxygen saturation in the blood. And if it's below a certain threshold, it indicates that there might be a problem with the heart, and that will then lead to further testing to help properly diagnose possible congenital heart defect.
In June of 2013, Governor Nikki Haley signed the Emerson Rose Act into law.
We can be sure that all infants born in South Carolina are now getting this test. The law was passed and implemented in 2013, and there have been over 60,000 births, so we can rest assured that they did receive that test.
And from time to time, the Smiths can see what their hard work and determination means. They bought a pulse ox for the hospital in Conway before it was required by law. Several years later, they received an email from the hospital. It read,
Immediately I thought of you this morning when we shipped a 2-day-old little boy to MUSC. He was delivered by scheduled C-section and had a normal, uncomplicated 2-day stay in our newborn nursery. He was scheduled to be discharged this morning, but when his pulse ox screening was done, it was found to be abnormal. He was completely asymptomatic. He was evaluated and transferred to MUSC, where he was determined to have tetralogy of Fallot. Had it not been for the screening you fought so hard for, this baby would have been sent home and would probably have been just another statistic. I just wanted you to know you've helped save this little guy. I'm tearful to think how close we could have been to losing him. Thank you so much for the difference you have made to the children and families of South Carolina.
I love Emerson Rose.